Ted Lasso kept asking himself that question in a recent episode. Am I a mess? And every time I hear that term, I laugh because in my ATM approach, which is an objective way to rank your sales team, the M was the hardest letter I had to coming up with something. And I eventually settled on mess. And since I've done that, I constantly hear people talking about the mess. This situation's a mess. This company's a mess. This person's a mess. All the time I hear it. And when it comes to ranking sales teams and when I'm talking to managers and leaders, what I see the biggest mistake people make is they spend too much time with their bottom performers. And what I like to do is come up with an objective way to prove that to them. So when we're ranking sales teams, one of the things I like to do is get to know, the reps, what they think about each person. And I can kind of see who they favor and, who they're a little harder on. And funny situation came up last week. When we were ranking this particular team, we do a subjective and opinion ranking first, and then we do the objective fact second. So it's always fun to see, how the facts line up with the opinions. So in this one particular situation, a manager ranked somebody a T plus on the subjective side of it. When we got to the objective part and we were going through all the KPIs, I noticed that the scores for this particular rep were really low. And we got to the end, they were way lower than anybody else. Below 60%, everybody else was up around 80% or higher. And I think the manager was a little bit surprised and said, well, I know where I need to spend more of my time. And I took a step back. I said, I get it. The person needs some extra coaching. But what I'd be careful of is this. When I see a score that low compared to everybody else, maybe it's not the right position for the rep. Maybe they're better off, with another company in another position, or maybe there's somewhere else you can, put them. And, it's funny. He said, that's an interesting perspective. And I have kind of been thinking about that. So here's my point with the whole thing. When you have bottom performers, everybody should get the same opportunity to succeed. But don't spend all of your time with the bottom performer trying to force something that's probably not going to work just because you like the person. Everything that I've always seen is that if somebody leaves a job that they're not successful in, they're usually more successful somewhere else. Don't spend too much time in the mess.